Good evening. My name is Spencer Brown, and I'm doing my intro video for EDL 853, Special Education for School Leaders. In my introduction, I always like to start off by my personal life. So you see my family there, that's one of my favorite pictures of us, and it's a pretty accurate portrayal of our family. It's my daughter Abigail and my son Benaiah, and my wife Amanda. My kids are Benaiah's 4 and Abby is 2, and then that's our dog Max that we just got this summer, and sort of a rescue situation, and he's 2 years old, and he's an excellent dog as well. My professional life consists of just two careers. First, I was a high school math teacher and coach at Jayhawk Glen High School, and that's a small southeast Kansas high school. And then after that position, I took a job with Kansas MTSS State Project, and so I'm now a state trainer for Kansas MTSS and Alignment. We recently changed our name to MTSS and Alignment because what happens is districts will apply to have us come out, and we'll come out and spend some extensive amount of time with them for a few years really, and we really work on everything you see there in the logo, trying to not just focus on interventions, but really focusing on how are we aligning all of our efforts in our school and really ensuring that we are being the most effective and the most efficient manner for the students. And so I've been doing that now for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. On the team, we're in some kind of specialty area, whether that be reading, math, behavior social, or early childhood, and I am on the math side of things as well. So my critical reflection of TL1E, this was a little bit difficult for me since I'm not in a school. So I did just go ahead and reflect on what content-based learning materials means to Kansas MTSS, the team that I'm a part of now. And obviously this is a huge focus. It's something we really battle for, is getting equity for all students. And so we really stress hard in our logo that idea of all, and all students receiving tier 1 and all students receiving the core instruction. And so we work really hard at making sure that students are receiving content-based learning materials regardless of whether they have any kind of identification or IEP. Sometimes in schools we find out that schools live still in silos, and so we have students in the SPED room, we have students in the core room, and those two don't ever talk. And sometimes we'll have kids getting an intervention in something that is completely appropriate for the student in the SPED room, but that student's not afforded the opportunity to that high quality intervention. Or vice versa, we'll find out we have some really high quality intervention materials that exist within special education, but the only way the student can access that is by an IEP. And so we really want to break down those walls, and we want to make sure that all kids are getting content-based learning materials and all kids are getting met where they need to be. And so it's a big focus of what I'm teaching schools, and it's something that I research a lot. And our team, obviously, Kansas MTSS in the special ed handbook is referred to as a general education intervention. And so it's something that we push hard, and we really work hard to make sure schools are achieving this lofty goal. And one thing that I wanted to mention as well is, especially within reading, you have those predictive indicators that not only are in a sense of, are we giving the kid content-based learning materials now, but how are we setting them up to make sure that they achieve grade level standards later as well. So if we're intervening on a student, what are we intervening on to make sure that we're moving them towards hopefully no longer needing intervention down the road. And so I would say our needs, there's a lot of things we're very strong in, but the needs are obvious, and it's that our job's not done and the equity gap still exists, and it exists in a strong and ugly way. And so we've got to think about ways that we really are using our data to drive us forward, to help close that gap within all the districts that we work with. So that kind of goes right into my plan to improve, is the fact that it is a continuous battle. And so we don't want to grow stagnant and just assume that the research that we read and built things on years ago is still is keeping up with the times, and so we want to make sure that we are staying ahead of the research and staying ahead of what evidence-based materials could be coming out, so that we can make sure that kids or make sure that schools are afforded the opportunity to get a hold of those materials. That's another thing that's really difficult for us to do, is as so many materials come out, it's really difficult for us to be able to be real fluent in our understanding of all of them. And so we have to work with schools, and we have to learn, continue to learn to work with schools on helping them answer their own questions in this area about how can we teach them to be savvy consumers of those materials that they're bringing in, to make sure that they're evidence-based in the content that they're hoping for. And then the last part for our plan of improvement is collecting and analyzing our own data. So a big part of our job is helping schools make data-based decision-making in every facet of the district. And so it's important that we do the same in our role. So the fiscal hurdles are interesting. Obviously, there's fiscal responsibility of our team because we're all over the state. I believe in 40 some odd districts right now. And so that's a lot of travel, and we have to obviously manage that well. But the bigger fiscal hurdle is actually on the schools. And so we'll go into schools that they want to have appropriate interventions set up for reading and math, but they don't have the materials. They don't have those evidence-based materials. And so they have a hard time. They have to come up with the funding for them, or they have to come up with an ulterior way of providing those interventions, which can be really difficult if you don't have that evidence-based curricula. And beyond that, sometimes they don't even have a quality assessment plan, so they don't have really a strong way of measuring their own measuring how students are doing in the content areas, to be able to know, okay, what do we intervene on? Is a student, is this fifth grade student who's struggling in ELA maybe really just struggling with reading? And if they're struggling with reading, what about reading? Is it their fluency aspect? Is still some of the phonological awareness? In math, same thing. We have these kids in 8th grade who are struggling. Are they struggling with 8th grade math, or are they struggling with rational numbers that they just never fully grasp from 3rd, 4th grade? And so helping schools get those quality assessment plans so that they can hit the right spots is difficult. That is obviously a fiscal hurdle for the district. And so the other piece that we find that we jump into the fiscal realm with is oftentimes we have money being spent in ways that don't align to the district initiatives. And so when we think about, do we have the money for these interventions? Well, where are we spending our money right now? Are we paying for multiple assessment systems that aren't the quality that we want, or not giving us the information we want? And so we talked with schools, or at least help them probe into their own decisions fiscally to try to make sure that they're managing in the most efficient way for their students. So if you've been in a class with me before, you've seen this video. I always use it in our intro videos. It's my son, and I'll just reiterate that I'm excited to get started. This was one of the classes that I've been most excited about. A lot of my team comes from special education backgrounds where I do not. And so this is a great opportunity for me to learn, and I'm really excited about digging more into the process handbook. I think that's such a valuable tool. And so, yeah, I'm just looking forward to learning with you all. Thanks.